The Fury Warrior is the best DPS in vanilla WoW. It is not an opinion, it is a fact. It is 40% more damage than the second best DPS, and that's on a good day, okay? So we're gonna talk about how to play it, because this will be definitely the most popular class in the game as well. Looking at the talents, it's gonna become very obvious why people go Fury right away. We're gonna go first Cruelty with 5% crit for free, then we're gonna go Unbridled Wrath, it is just free rage, that's pretty good. Battle Shout, free attack power, then we're gonna have to take Enrage, that's for later down here, then we're gonna take 2 points in Execute, Execute is huge, we're gonna take 1 point in Death Wish. Look at this ability, okay? This is one of the main reasons you go Fury. 20% more damage. 20% more damage for 30 seconds when a lot of the fights in vanilla, when you actually got good players in the raid, Death Wish gets an insane amount of value in vanilla. Then we are gonna take points in dual wield specialization right here. We are gonna take all 5 of these. We're gonna be dual wielding the whole time. There is a 200 build for Fury that is kind of okay, but it is not as good. We're gonna be talking about that probably in a couple days. We're gonna make a guide on 200 Fury. Dual wield is the meta. If you're playing meta, you're playing dual wield, and 25% extra damage on your offhand is pretty freaking huge. Then we're gonna go here and take Flurry. Flurry is 30% attack speed. This is the best talent in the game. Every time you crit, and you're gonna be critting a whole lot, 30% attack speed means 30% more rage. More rage means more damage. You see what I mean? This is huge. And then we're gonna take Bloodthirst. This is also another big reason that Fury is so much better than Arms. 45% of your attack power. Bloodthirst is the hardest scaling ability in the game. For comparison, Mortal Strike is about a 25% attack power scaling. Of course, Mortal Strike has the base damage of your weapon and is a 200, so it is not nothing, but in the grand scheme of things, you're gonna have a lot of attack power, and by level 60, Bloodthirst is gonna hit a lot harder. Now we're gonna go for Arms. For the filler talents, we're gonna be taking Rend. Guys, great news by the way, there is no more debuff cap, so we're gonna go Deep Wounds. Easily one of the best abilities we can take here. You can take 2 points in Heroic Strike for going down here. Then we're gonna take Tactical Mastery. You retain 25 of your rage when you change stances. There is almost no time where you overpower, but you can overpower in some situations. We're gonna be talking about that very briefly. And then of course you got Anger Management. The tooltip doesn't say this, and I don't know why they still haven't fixed the tooltip. I guess it's the node changes people, but like, come on man, it's fixing a freaking tooltip. Anger Management gives you 1 rage every 3 seconds. It doesn't say so on the tooltip, but it gives you rage every 3 seconds. So that's why you take it. And then we're gonna take Deep Wounds. Then we're gonna take 1 point in Heroic Strike, and we're gonna take 2 points in Impale. Okay, Impale, every time you crit, you do 20% critical strike damage bonus. Now that's a little weird on the wording, critical strike damage bonus, because you would think it means that your crits hit 20% harder, but no, it affects the bonus. So your crits are gonna hit 10% harder. It is still a freaking insane thing. 10% harder every time you crit, and you're gonna be critting a whole lot. Warriors get a lot of crit, guys, especially with wall buffs. So that's really a lot of damage you're gaining. Now, if you compare this to the tanking build, you're only missing a couple talents here. So this is actually a very decent tank build. If you want to tank dungeons as Fury, you easily can tank dungeons. You can be an off tank for the raid even. There is a lot of fights in vanilla where you need like 4 tanks to tank like a tiny ad, and you can easily tank a tiny ad on this build. All the good threat talents are in Fury anyway, so there you go, you can tank with this. Now, when it comes to the stat priority, you got a couple options you can look into. First of all, you're gonna have weapon skill. Weapon skill, if you can get it, is insane. 5 weapon skill is worth 3% hit, of course. So if you're a human or if you're an orc, humans got maces and swords, orcs have axes. That's huge. Of course, you can get weapon skill from these gloves. They are gonna be the most sought after items in all of vanilla. They are a random drop, they are super rare, and they will easily go for like 3000 gold. So if you go orc or you go human, you're gonna save yourself a lot of trouble. But you can also, believe it or not, go daggers. There is this little dagger in Dire Mold that gives you 6 dagger skill, and there's also these gloves in Molten Core that give you dagger skill, and both of them are perfect for that. That's 3% hit. It is insane, you gotta have it. And you can go some something like Fell Striker for the main hand. Now, this weapon is too fast. It is a problem that you're gonna run into because you're still gonna be doing Whirlwind, and that's gonna scale off your weapon damage. And of course, Wind Fury if you're the Horde. Ideally, you wanna have a slower weapon for that. But it is not a huge deal if you're Fury dual wield to have a fast weapon. And the weapon skill from daggers is easily going to outdo what you would gain from getting a slow weapon. So you can go daggers early on. It is not a terrible idea, believe it or not. Of course, you wanna get the edges. If you can pay for this, it's gonna be insane. But if you can get them, you should get this, but still. So weapon skill is gonna be number 1. After that, you wanna get your hit cap. You wanna have a total of 9% hit, which of course, if you have a weapon skill, that's gonna be only 6%. You do benefit as a Fury Warrior from getting extra hit on top of that, because there is a 14% hit penalty that you can overcome with more hit. It is not worth it. It is almost never worth it to take extra hit, but hit will help if you can get it. And after that, we're gonna go for crit. Why crit? Early on, you're gonna have rage problems, and that's why you wanna get crit early on. Crit is not as good as a raw DPS stat as attack power or strength, but it is way better for rage, and you're gonna need that rage. So crit is gonna be a little more important early on. If you're watching this video like in tier 2, for example, you can flip this over. After that, it's gonna go strength and attack power, of course. Bloodthirst makes you scale with attack power like a madman, so of course you wanna keep getting your blood. Your attack power is never gonna be a bad stat. Now, of course, because of how the hit tables work, there are gonna be things that push off your crit. That's called the crit cap, so to speak. There is a 40% chance or so to get a glancing blow, so in total, minus the dodge and the parry chance and all that stuff, your crit cap is about 50%. Do not get fixated on the number because it doesn't really matter exactly. It is a soft cap too, because for example, Heroic Strike is a yellow ability, so it cannot be a glancing blow. Abilities never glance, so you still get a benefit from crit after that, but you never want to go over 50% crit, and you can definitely go over 50% crit with wall buffs, even pretty early on. So yeah, I would say the goal for you as a normal player is to get about 30% crit, and then you can focus straight all in attack power. That's the best way to do it. Now for the rotation, let's talk about the rotation really quick. Your number 1 priority is going to be Bloodthirst. As we said, it's the hardest hitting ability in the game. It scales the best. That's going to be 45% attack power. You gotta do it first. Next in the priority is going to be Whirlwind. That's just a free auto attack. It is not as good. And after that is gonna go Heroic Strike, queuing Heroic Strike. When you have Heroic Strike queued, your offhand does not suffer the hit penalty for whatever reason, is a bug. And of course, there is less chance for you to get a glancing blow, so that's also very valuable. Heroic Strike is pretty good. That is gonna be your Rage Dump. If you are in the Horde and you're somehow rage capping with Heroic Strike queued and all your abilities on cooldown, you can spam Hamstring, because Hamstring has a chance to proc Wind Fury, so that's something you can do to dump even more rage. It doesn't happen often, it shouldn't happen often unless you're like super geared. I wouldn't worry about that, but I should mention it. If you're playing Horde, you can do that. Now after 20%, you get the Execute phase, and I need you to open your character sheet when you're in raid, look at yourself with all your buffs. You gotta look at your character with every single buff, and if you are over 2000 attack power, you're gonna do Bloodthirst first, and then you're gonna do Execute, because Bloodthirst will do more, because Bloodthirst will scale harder than an Execute. If you do not have 2000 attack power, you just do Execute. Execute, 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 and that's pretty much it. So as you can see, the vanilla rotation is pretty freaking simple. Overpower is not really worth it unless you are bot ass naked, and you are gonna be bot ass naked for like a week after launch. If you wanna do that, you can do that. I don't do it. I don't do it. Now, as you can see, your tier 1 set bonuses are absolute freaking crap. They are useless, they are all for tanking, and they are not even that good for tanks. So you wanna take Might if you can get it, because it is, but you still gotta take your Onslaught Girdle, your Lionheart Helmet. They are gonna be meta because the set bonuses are useless, so that's something less you gotta worry about. Let's talk about the weapons really quick. Ideally, you want to get the most slow weapon possible for the main hand, because your main hand will scale off a Whirlwind, and that's important. And of course, Wind Fury if you're in the Horde. Once again, the slower the weapon, the better usually. That's gonna be, for example, Iron Foe. Iron Foe is considered the best in slot weapon. It is is a super rare drop from the Emperor in BRD, so get ready to farm it. Of course, you also got the Hand of Justice, which is a 2% chance to get an extra hit. This trinket will be best in slot for you pretty much the whole way through until match later on. You should really farm it. Every melee needs this. But Iron Foe right here, it has a chance to give you 2 hits on your next auto attack. It is freaking insane. Iron Foe, the DPS of course is very high, 43 DPS. The speed is ideal. It is the slowest you can get, one of the slowest. There are some 2.7 100s out there, but if you have Edge Masters or if you're a human, remember it's a maze, Iron Foe is gonna be your best in slot, no question. For an offhand, you wanna take something that is very fast ideally. Fell Striker is in my opinion the best in slot weapon at this stage in the game. It is 1.7, so it is the fastest you can get out there, and it is all guaranteed. And the proc is just humongous. All attacks are guaranteed to land and be a crit for the next 3 seconds. So Fell Striker is a huge boost to your stats, and of course it does a quadrillion damage too. Look at that, 45 DPS. If you can get your hands on a Fell Striker, which is not easy, that's something you can do. Another offhand you can get is Mira's Song. That's just from a quest in Scholomance. It is super easy to get and it does a lot of damage, it's pretty fast. But the most common duo, the most common combo of weapons you're gonna find is the Dalrend set. Of course, Dalrend, it drops from Ubers. Every warrior is gonna wanna farm this thing. So it is a super slow sword, 2.80, which is pretty much perfect. The DPS is pretty decent, all things considered. And then of course the offhand is really fast, which is once again really good. And the set bonus is 50 attack power, which is decent. So Dalrends are just like the no-brainer, especially if you're a human. Now for an orc, your options are quite limited, and that's kind of a problem. You can take something like the Demon Fork. It drops from the same guy that drops the Arcanite Reaper plans. You got a lot of decent offhands. You got this weapon from Stratholm, but your best bet is this rare drop from the world, and it's gonna go for a quadrillion dollars, so get used to it. The Axe of the Deep Woods, that's gonna be your main hander if you can get it. You can also take the Flurry Axe as your offhand. There is not a lot of options early on until you get phase 2, when you get Blackwing Lair and you get the Annihilator. The Annihilator is a fine weapon you can craft. Not now though, not now. You are kinda screwed. There is not a lot to do. As a matter of fact, if you are an orc and you do not have money to pay for Edge Masters, I would much rather get a two-handed axe. I will go two-hander for a while. Two-hander in the Horde is not that bad, especially early on. That's gonna be another video I'm gonna make in the next few days. I will get like an Arcanite Reaper and just rip with the Arcanite Reaper. That's what I would do. We got a couple weak auras you can use. They are in the Discord in the Warrior channel. We got one that tells you when Bloodthirst is coming up. We got one that tracks when Heroic Strike is queued. There is also a magnificent weak aura, because I didn't want to spend 20 minutes of the video boring you to death, that tells you every single consumable that you need and you can have. There is a weak aura that tracks everything for you, so that's also gonna be in the Discord. And subscribe, join the Discord, and thank you for watching.